It was great to talk to you here about this final season.
This is it. Yeah, it's over.
Series finale?
Series finale, 5 seasons. Every season got a little bit more and more pressure. I started on season 2. They wanted me to work on season 1, but I was working on Search Party. It's a great show. But I missed season 1, and then I started in season 2, and then got some episodes, and then got more episodes, and then got more episodes, and then in this season I only cut 1 because I was cutting a movie, and then thankfully I finished the movie. Movies can tend to go, I don't know if anybody here has cut a film, but sometimes they go on a lot longer than initially planned. And then somehow I was able to wrap it up, and they were shooting mostly in order, so I luckily timed out, ended, and jumped on to the finale here.
Great that you cut the last episode, and tell us why you wanted to showcase this specific clip.
I'm very proud of the dance sequence. I don't know, there's something there. It was one of these things that was in the shot list, or it was in the script, and it was just part of fun and games in Paris. And then Lucia kind of made it into, Lucia is one of the showrunners, Jen, Paul, and Lucia. Lucia directed this episode, and she was kind of like, let's make something a little bigger. So when I got the footage, I was like, what is all this stuff? I thought I was just doing a dance sequence, and then there was all this other business, and it really actually shifted the whole kind of paradigm. We needed some way to transition from Ava kind of accepting and then not accepting, and then trying to convince her that she was gonna try and fight it. So I like that part, and then the two of them at the couch is kind of reflective of the opening, the first episode in the season. And there's been a lot of these battles. They're writers, they're comedy writers. They don't use guns to shoot each other, but it's basically a showdown. And I love cutting them. They're my favorite thing to cut. Just the two of them, they're so good. And it's just an embarrassment of riches. And there's a lot of, even though it's just two people talking, there's a lot you can do with the frame sizes and making sure that I use a lot of splits in that scene actually to kind of keep mostly Hannah in continuity. And just those scenes to me, I don't know, they're the most fun to cut. And then the church scene is kind of just before I don't know, I think one of the longest runners in the series, where they compare hand sizes and find out that Deb's hands are actually bigger than Hannah's or Ava's. This whole time, I don't know how familiar everybody is with Hacks, but that's I think maybe Guinness Book World Records for longest runner, maybe. She has catcher mitt size hands. So I also chose the church one, I guess, because it all ran together. It was actually, everyone had to pick a clip, but it was kind of a hard thing. I'm like, what do I pick? So I stopped there. I was like, maybe I should have shown something more comedy, but this church scene had this piece of music, and this was also kind of a little just an example of a scene that always happens through everything we've every season. There's always one song that just mystifies you, and finding that song was one of those moments. And you'll how many editors are here? This is a room full of editors, right? Okay, so we all know the just you gotta find the song and then do it over, and then you do it, you just roll it out, and then you show them 18 versions of it. And finally, thankfully, Lucia found this. It was there was a point where I was like, oh, I'm not gonna find it, and the clock was ticking, because Hacks is one of those series that just, we've made the Emmy deadline every year, right? I think it's so we're, I feel incrementally over time, it's just gotten tight. The schedule gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and the clock was running out on finding that song. And thank God Lucia found it. So.
Worked really well.
Yeah.
So the thing is, the clip moves from a casual conversation about comedy and gender into an artistic dance scene montage, and finally into an emotional and serious argument. We feel definitely when you kind of hit the gas pedal and then the brakes throughout the sequence. How did you balance that pacing to make the sudden transition from comedy and lightheartedness to intense drama and sadness feel so impactful?
I mean, that's in the writing a bit, but like, a little bit. But I guess, like my favorite thing about Hacks is the salty and the sweet. And even in that, like the showdown between the two of them, they're like, it's so intense and it's about such a heavy thing. And yet there's still some laughs to be had in it. And there's another one at the beginning of the episode. And I just think that that's like it's always this thing that I'm never sure because it's TV. We don't do screenings. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to play. Like you're kind of in a black box, you're just hoping that it works where, it makes me laugh, but then it also makes me cry, and I think that there's something about the when you have some emotional something happening, it's like this physiological thing where you're feeling sad, and then then it kind of makes a joke hit harder a little bit, So, did I answer your question? I think I did.
Yeah, no, this tonally it blends really well. So we're taking through a journey throughout that moment. So,
yeah.
Well, let's talk about the club montage and the editorial choices behind it. Scene starts out so incredibly hopeful, but we slowly see Ava realize that this is it. Deborah won't be here anymore. So it slows down as she realizes this. We're really on these slow, tight shots. Robert, talk to us about that.
Just to get into like the minutia of it, like I tried to figure out where the right point to slow it down was many times, and then each time was like a new iteration of like how the edit works, because there's a lot of syncopation with the lights and the dancing, and then making sure that the song was edited the right length. And I kind of like once I got the shot to the place where I could get the push in right, then there was like a little bit of leeway on the other side. I always try and like figure out some shot that I can kind of shorten or lengthen without like within a cut point, so that I can kind of move like stuff around without upending the apple cart a little bit. That stuff gets really tricky because you want to protect like the opening of it so that rhythm stays cool, and then the end of it and that stays cool, because re-editing music can just take a million years. And so but in general, like, I don't know, I guess I also wanted to highlight this clip because one of the first things I ever edited was a documentary that some classmates and I made in college about the dance scene in Athens, Georgia. And I just like I love dancing and I love music, and actually own 2 high-powered strobe lights if anyone is in the market. That I've been trying to sell for a long time. Nobody will buy. I used to be in this band and we toured around with the strobe lights, and like I just can't seem to offload them. I also have 2 smoke machines.
Go ahead.
Yeah. What else can I sell here? But music is a big part of my life, and also is dancing and dance culture, and so like getting that scene and just being able to freak out on it was really fun. And then also one of my favorite bits was I had the I don't know if anybody caught the like lighthouse, it's kind of match cut into the club. I had that on the side and I was like, that's really cool. But they shot an exterior of the club, and I was like, all right, I'll put the exterior in. And I had that on the side. And then thankfully Lucia was like, do we need that exterior? And I was like, we don't. And check this out.
Oh,
So
that's the first thing I noticed. I mean, it was like you brought us right into that.
it was so sweet. It was like, I don't know. They shot so much cool B-roll in Paris. They actually shot a lot of footage for this finale. I think in large part because it was the last thing that they were shooting, and everyone was kind of like having a little bit of a hard time letting go, right?
Can imagine. No, certainly. I mean, like I said, I noticed the use of lights at certain beats, which is great, but also just when it slows down, you really feel that, the impact of that transition, for kind of realizing that this is it. It could be it. The dialogue becomes very fast-paced when Ava and Deborah are talking about the clinical trials, with Deborah refusing to let Ava change her mind. How did you use cutaways and reaction shots between them to maximize the emotional stakes and vulnerability of that argument?
I mean, that's something that we do.
That's the job.
That's what we do. And I love the other side as much as I love the front side when people are talking. I like the reactions, and it's pretty great, like being able to have Gene Smart and Hannah Einbender be the people that are doing that stuff. Hannah is like kind of a master at emotion. Actually, both of them are, but like Hannah really can like on demand just bring this next level of, I don't know, something that I feel and I've felt all the way through. And oddly, I know you guys were talking earlier about like diminishing returns on screening of the thing, and you sort of feel less sad as you go along. And somehow with this, I don't know if maybe it was a subject matter or whatever, my head state or something, but I didn't actually have diminishing returns. And even just now, I was kind of like trying to make sure I wasn't walking up here with tears in my eyes. So, yeah, I mean, I always, I got, I'm lucky on this show that the two of them are so good, and they don't like, neither of them sleep on the other side. You get these, I get my footage organized, and I make sure that I have like a string out of everything, like the front side, all the words, and then the other side, try and watch all of it so that I can kind of get a, grasp on like which take was the best of this side and which take was the best of the talking side. I usually do like, to get like a little deeper, I'll try and do like one for one, like line for line. Hacks kind of is that style, where we're not like talking over a shoulder and seeing like a person's reaction. We'll do it a little bit, but for the most part, it's kind of like generally, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think that comedy does work pretty well, like when you're seeing the person say the thing. So that's, yeah, it doesn't always work. Sometimes it's great when it's off camera, but
Just one last quick question. What do you want audiences to come away with, not only from this scene, but just, series is over, just the show in general coming to an end?
If you haven't seen it, go check it out, and then maybe bring a loved one with you or something. Like, I feel like this is a really good, like, this show is like the perfect show for like couples, if you want to watch it with somebody, you can laugh and have fun. And then I just like, I mean, like, shout out also to like the other editors that worked on it, Peggy and Rob Paglia. Rob Paglia was, I think, actually, since I only cut one this year, he beat me for most episodes cut. And then Joseph Edgar, and then John Daigle. I don't know if you guys know any of them, but they're really cool people, and I'm really jealous. They only got to cut one. This season, I think, is maybe the best. And then I really enjoyed season 4, even though Reddit did not enjoy it. Up until, I guess, until the 6th episode, they seemed to kind of maybe like it when they stopped fighting a little bit. But I think that this show is like, it's just like a kind of miracle, and it's been great to be a part of it, and for to work with the showrunners and have them sort of like trust me more and more, and I think that like trust kind of made me trust myself a little, You know, it's like I think we're all in the edit room and we get notes, and you do the notes, and you sort of self-doubt a little bit. And I mean, the notes process is awesome. It's like kind of really beautiful. It's like all of a sudden you're doing like a remix of something. You know, you just never saw it that way, or it forces you to see it a different way. But you can kind of like get caught in your head, and over the years, like working with this team and how good and like how, you know, they're shooting for the stars. And I feel like I was like, okay, so I'm gonna shoot for the stars too. So it's I'm just very happy to have been a part of it. And also my assistant Kira, who I guess Kira Ablek, she's kind of the person that kind of, I guess, is with me on this ride. And if she were here, I'd give her a big hug and a high five.
Awesome. We gotta recognize the assistants. All right, Jon, thank you so much for sharing your process for this final season of Hacks. Get up for Jon Philpot.
Thank you.